This episode of Casual Friday is brought to you by Loot Crate.
Did the malt liquor make me angry, or was I just angry and all I drank was malt liquor when I was younger?
This tastes like someone poured beer on a slip and slide, and just after someone peed on it.
Yeah.
No, I lived in Santa Monica in what has since been destroyed, a building that was condemnable.
Where was it?
It was on. It was 3 blocks from the Santa Monica College.
Okay.
So like, I guess I don't know. I forget what direction things were. It was like 16th and some state. I don't know. It's right.
Yeah, they love those states down in that part of Santa Monica.
Yeah.
Vermont.
Yeah, but that was a gross little place. I'm excited to see if it's in GTA 5.
Yes.
Do a drive-by on my own house.
I mean, they never have done. Well, LA Noire was close to an actual map, and it screwed me up. And the bit where you had to go look for the tar pits, because that's where I lived. I mean, I had such a wonderful advantage playing LA Noire. I'm like, oh, I know where I'm going. Except when you're supposed to go find the tar pits, they put it somewhere else. And I kept on going down Wilshire going, it should be, oh, hold on, no, this is where the game map ends.
Yeah.
And it took me an extra hour to realize it was there on the actual map had I, gotten off,
Yeah, because when
thinking I was so smart and actually looked at it.
I remember sort of wondering, playing LA Noire, that there's so much detail in there, and I was kind of wondering if they were just going to build GTA 5 on top of that and just make it in LA proper.
Well, I think we talked to them and they said no, that this was, its own.
Yeah.
Remember, I always thought LA Noire was going to be built on top of Midnight Club LA. So we clearly that there's no need to find all that money savings over at Rockstar.
It was actually just the whole GTA 5 was just built on top of ping pong game that Rockstar put out.
Yeah.
They just did that.
Yeah.
They're like, let's build this one out a little bit.
So, okay. I was already on extended play when GTA 3 came out.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Where were you guys in life?
I was in college, but I had been playing Grand Theft Auto in high school.
1 and 2.
1 and 2. And I was one of
right.
those people when I first started seeing screens for GTA 3. I was a little upset that they were going open world and taking it away from the top-down perspective.
Because it was changed.
It was totally changed.
I remember hearing that you could switch to a top-down view.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was false or if
No,
I
you
just,
could.
Could you?
You could kind of switch to a top-down view in GTA 3.
Could you?
Yeah, because I believe there were moments where I think if you push select on the PS2,
I remember selecting involved.
you could change all the different angles, and one of them I believe was a top-down.
You might
But
be
then
right.
screwing with it on PC, which is when I eventually played it. I didn't have a PS2 at the time, but I remember getting it on PC 6 months, a year later, trying to run it. Didn't run on my PC. Did not work.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. I was aware of GTA 2. Like I played GTA 2. I think a friend pirated it.
Well,
or something.
they also, and like GTA up until that point had the naughty thing. That's what it really had going for it.
I somehow dodged the. I remember dodging the controversy, or just not being aware of it, and sort of understanding that Grand Theft Auto is a felony, and that you aren't supposed to be doing it, let alone doing it in games. But there was a certain. I was too young to fully grasp that. I feel like. And I was like, whatever, man. In Soldier of Fortune 2, you can kill dogs with a microwave gun. So, like, I don't know, getting in a tiny car and then having a claymation man talk to you and then driving around wasn't that crazy to me. Running over a bunch of Elvises and getting a whole lot of points. And then,
oh my God, I forgot about
Well,
that.
I think I also think the controversy for Grand Theft Auto 1 and 2 mainly came out of the UK.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's on some level it's a more permissive society, and then when it comes to corrupting the children, that's where, back in the 70s, there were people who actually thought there were snuff films being sold at porno shops. And so parents groups would come. I think that's where the controversy was.
Yeah, what was that whole era when they were doing stuff like Carmageddon and
where just
Postal,
games
where they're
were-
just games for the sake of shocking. But GTA was one of those shocking games, but it was actually enjoyable beyond the shock factor.
Then 3 comes. I mean, I remember it was one of those things where it was not that easy to explain what the game was doing because it really hadn't been done before.
that changed everything.
I mean, that was about as, and the worst part was at Tech TV, we were under an edict, so it was post-Columbine, where we couldn't show violence between people.
Also, 9/11 was around there, right?
Yeah,
that was
to delay the game because you had planes in the original game.
Wasn't the final mission
and they
sort of
realized,
about crashing a plane into something?
Well, I didn't. If memory serves me right, didn't it go from an actual plane to the remote control plane?
It's been so long, maybe.
But the game was delayed. It was supposed to come out, I think, much closer to 9/11, and
Right.
But and it didn't. I mean, once again, it's like
It was a weird time. That and Metal Gear Solid 2 came out around the same time, and both of them had some very oddly, just very serious shit happening in New York City. A lot of vehicles crashing into things at a very kind of odd time.
But I mean, I'll just never forget. It was one of those, like, you would start to play it, and you're like, okay, yeah, and I would start to play it as a regular game, and then you make your first mistake, usually driving, and you suddenly realize the sandbox. Like, the way in which you had to sort of, I had to, like, unlearn how I played other games and understand that there was a sandbox here, and it was like one of those look over the shoulder moments. When you would hit someone or run someone over and be like, someone just see me do that? I mean, there was just that sense of, I cannot believe this is happening here.
Yeah, it was the first time I ever played a game where it was explained to me when I went over to my friend's house to play it for the first time. It says, no, you can do anything you want. You can do anything you want. Is it, can I drive over people? Yes. Can I beat up people? Yes. Can I drive the car off a cliff? Yeah. You want to? Go ahead.
Can you pick up a hooker?
Yes. Can I kill the hooker afterwards to get the money
What
back
happens
from
after
the
you
sexual
pick up the
exchange?
hooker, but before you run her over with the car that you stole? Well, the car shakes and your health goes up. I would like to play this game, 16-year-old kid in my metal shop class.
So, I mean, you know, and it was because of that. The get the hooker, run over the hooker.
Get your money
weird,
back.
That the weird controversy around the entire franchise. I remember doing a radio interview, and it was down in LA, and the DJ's like, isn't that game where you have to kill the hookers for points? And it's like, well, A, no points. You don't have to kill the hookers. And then I asked the DJ, I'm like, what is it about this game that suddenly this is the only time people ever express any type of consideration or care for streetwalkers? You know, people seem to know.
Since Pretty Woman.
Yeah, I mean, there doesn't seem to be any other concern for sort of, you know, where life brings you that you have to do that as a career path until GTA comes out. And everyone's like, oh my God, we need to protect the prostitutes. And his response was, you're not supposed to kill prostitutes. To which I retorted, you're not supposed to kill anyone.
Anybody,
yeah. But I mean, it's just so funny that, like, the game as gameplay design changed everything.
That was out of the deep. That was the deep end.
But
like
the
you just
game-
suddenly you don't know. There's no bottom there.
Yeah.
You're like, where does it go?
But then as a cultural phenomena, as a cultural force, I mean, it did something else there too. It became this lightning rod for controversy, but then also this thing that anyone with a brain knew was a hell of a lot of fun and just gravitated towards. It's kind of, I can't imagine the world, gaming or otherwise, without Grand Theft Auto.
No.
I think Vice City was interesting because that came along pretty close afterwards. That was
2 years. I think it was 2 years after.
It was. It felt like a short time. I remember. It was. It was definitely not like.
Well,
it wasn't like enough. It didn't feel like enough time of kind of.
Well, it was also
gestation.
because Grand Theft Auto 3, when it was first released, it was a sequel to Grand Theft Auto, which wasn't a massively popular franchise, and so it was kind of a slow. It was one of those word of mouth slow burn games that eventually became a blockbuster. But I mean, when it first came out, it wasn't the line up around the block.
But also,
wait forever.
I mean, again, it suffered some weird timing because it was a New York game at the same time when you're like never forget and there's firemen and
and then also
it's very
the heavy marketing of any entertainment property in the wake of 9/11 just seemed like
I mean it's
thing
violent,
to do.
it's dark, it's gritty. Then Vice City comes along and things have cooled down a bit, and it's also extremely colorful. Yeah. It's like campy, it's over the top, it's in the 80s and it's not present day, and therefore there's this kind of disconnect. And you're like, oh, it's Scarface, it's Miami Vice, it's all these things. I remember just thinking it was an expansion pack. I remember hearing about it from
too. It didn't make any sense. You could have a game of that magnitude in that short a period of time. It just didn't compute.
But I still think, at least for me, Vice City is my favorite Grand Theft Auto for me because of the time period.
Yeah.
That it took place
Oh no,
in.
exactly.
It's a period piece.
It was a period piece, and it was done perfectly.
It's still to me the hardest one to play because the layout of the roads is really tough. There were the odd glitches such as losing health when you ran downstairs. But it was also the core appeal of it was the most obvious from the get-go. It's like, Miami Vice, 1980s, going through a roadblock with Mr. Mister's broken wings blaring on the radio is just one of those like transcendent moments of video game playing.
I remember every time I was playing Vice City, I would have to get in the car and make sure I switched to the right station before driving.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to be driving on those curvy ass roads trying to switch to the right station. But that was also, because the radio stations were kind of introduced in GTA 3 where they had a couple of licensed songs, but then in Vice City, they just went nuts with it.
Yep.
But also the talk radio was in 3.
Yeah, the talk radio was.
And I
in three.
remember we were at work, Tech TV, and we just went into a room. We got the car, we put it on talk radio, we parked the car, and all we just sat there and just listened. And I think that's the thing, is that there's the game, and then there's the level of detail they put into it.
Yeah.
It was just that idea, like, they recorded all of this and just put it on a radio station that you access from your car.
Right.
That was not. That's still kind of inconceivable, and it's now just commonplace. We expect it, and it's not even notable anymore when you play a GTA game.
No.
Also, the radio in the game is better than the radio in real life.
Yeah.
Like, there's less repetition of songs and shit you don't want to listen to. That's kind of baffling. It's a little bit of a cheap shot, but it's sort of like I would rather have access to in-game radio. I mean, from all the stuff that even took it, like, you know, Sleeping Dogs or Saints Row or whatever, other sandbox games that followed that model. I would be so okay if a real car had that in it. If you could just be like, oh, I want to listen to...
Why isn't there like a satellite radio station that's just GTA songs?
Well, GTA put all their stuff on Spotify and iTunes.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
And they did sell CDs.
Yeah.
Oh, I know
Each
they sold
radio
the
station-
CDs.
they-
I
they
remember
sold-
that. That was
They sold the
box
CDs
set.
of all the radio station stuff. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I would love a serious station where
And then I remember San Andreas. That was just a lot of games.
San
that was
Jose,
I think that was the only GTA game I didn't finish all the way through because it was just. I mean, I opened up everything because the weird thing about GTA games is you can play them. You can play in the first unlockable area and enjoy it, and you just are trying to push forward. And then so with San Andreas, because it was so big, once I unlocked everything, I didn't care about the rest of the game because I just wanted to sandbox the entire world. And so
Get
once
on a bicycle and go
exactly,
across
I'm gonna go look for Sasquatch right now on my bike. So that's what I would do. As soon as I could do that, I just didn't care about the rest of it. I wanted to explore the world.
I remember that was a game. My first time seeing that, I was not playing games much when that came out, and I remember going over to a friend's house and he's like, "I got the new GTA." I'm like, "Oh yeah, let me check it out." And he'd been playing for a bit, so his dude was really fat and had pink hair.
Oh, that's right.
And no pants. And I was like, "So what's this one about again? Like, what's the setup here?"
Well, it takes place in 1990 South
Yeah.
Central Los Angeles.
Yeah, but I mean that customization. Something about it almost kind of doesn't sit right with me. Like, it's too silly, and it's like it works fine. I feel like in Saints Row, but there's something that really reassured me about 5. Hearing it was that they were trying to keep things sort of. Are these clothes that the characters that actually wear? Because they're still trying to kind of maintain the sense of reality.
Well, I mean, that's what happens, and I think 4 was the beginning of it, but they had played around with Manhunt and stuff, where like suddenly the storytelling prowess just changes so dramatically. I mean, San Andreas actually had a fairly compelling story that I think just got so meandering that it kind of lost track of its core. But 4. I would say 4 was the most engaging of the games, but you can see like they're changing their whole thinking about how they want to approach the storytelling. It feels more serious. You know, it's your traditional gangster tale of sort of rising up through the ranks.
Right.
And then all the other.
In a city where the roads are made of soap and the car tires are all made of ice.
I mean, that's the funny thing, is that the driving is always. It's always been the core of the game, and it's the part that causes me the greatest anxiety. Like in 3. That mission where you have to like bring the car back with only minimal damage.
With minimal damage? Oh
And
my
it's just
god, that's so hard!
I mean, my stomach would clench with that anxiety.
And even when you're going the speed limit, like you will tap a car and it will just ruin the front.
Yeah.
You'll just tap the bumper of a taxi cab and your whole front end is crunched like.
That
I mean, the thing is,
damn it.
you go back, and I haven't even tried the iPad version, but you go back and try to play Grand Theft Auto 3,
God.
I find it's impossible to play.
Yeah,
Because
I've
of where
played it
we
a couple
go.
times.
Am I totally crazy? I seem to remember forklift missions being a thing. I remember I was playing.
There was a fork.
I was playing Vice City Stories on my Vita,
Sounds-
and I feel like that was.
It was on the dock, right?
Yeah,
There was
I think
a
that. I mean,
forklift on the dock and you had to
presumably
move.
stuff that was in Vice City Stories was in
Yeah.
other games, and I'm drawing
Wait,
a
was that
blank
the
here.
same
But
year as Shenmue? Was that the year of the forklift?
No, no.
I really
There was
just-
never a year of the fork.
I just hope that there's this bit in Vice City Stories, and I was having a great time and kind of just being like, oh man, this is fun. Like I'm playing a little portable Vice City. This is so great. Get these boxes out of this burning building before it explodes. Take this forklift, and I'm just like, the hell is this? What is this in a game? I really hope there are no forklift missions in GTA 5. I don't want them.
So, the review, Grand Theft Auto 5,
Yeah.
it's next week, the game's out. next week. I know I'm supposed to be jaded, but I'm really excited.
Finger tapping really tells the story there.
Oh hey, you're still here. Thank you for sticking around. If you enjoyed our video and you would like to help support us make more videos like this, then you should go check out our sponsor, Loot Crate. Loot Crate is basically a subscription service to presents, and every month they send you a bunch of fun stuff in a box that all fits one particular theme. This particular box I have in front of me is all cake themed, and you say, what does cake have to do with anything? Well, it's a whole bunch of Portal stuff. You got some Portal stickers and some Aperture Labs, swag here, and some jelly beans, just because jelly beans are fun. And every month it's something different, and one lucky winner every month will get a mega loot crate. In the case of the Portal cake theme, it was the replica portal gun and then a replica Half-Life gravity gun. So you don't know what it is, you know what the theme is, so you can have some guesses and some sort of expectations, but it's basically just a surprise in the mail every month, and it costs just less than 20 bucks a month. So if you want to help support our videos and get some hidden packages in the mail, then head to lootcrate.com/casual.